This episode goes deep. Jim and I start talking about what you came here for, which is sales training and the right way to think about training a team, training yourself. But then we go deeper. We talk about auto-suggestion and how the people you're spending time with, the actions you're doing, the words that you're saying, the things that you're watching, the things that you're listening to, and more are really a part of your training process of yourself and ultimately come out in the training that you do. So if you are interested in learning more about what a good training process looks like, I really think this episode is going to hit home. We hope you enjoy.
How you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I am joined by Jim Shorkey. And Jim, something you talk about so much that I found so valuable is the importance of training. What does that look like in terms of training? And from what you've seen over the years, what do people train on that maybe they shouldn't or spend too much time on? And what should they be focused on in their training?
I wouldn't be able to answer that question because what I do, this is just a Jim Shorkey method and methodology, is no matter what, I'm going to establish a very clear, distinct goal. So what's my goal? When you and I pull up to the intersection, there's a choice between left and right. And I say, Derek, where do you want to go? And you say, I don't know.
Right.
Okay, left or right doesn't matter, does it? Until we have a defined goal, it doesn't matter whether we go left or right.
That's right.
So we got to get a defined goal. There's a reason why I'm saying this, so bear with me. Until we have a defined goal and a reason why that makes us cry, then it really doesn't develop from there. So we got to get very clear on the goal and very clear on the reasons why, reasons why. And so now that I've done that, I'm going to seek expert counsel to find out what it is that I need to do in terms of steps. That's what we commonly call the list. What's that list look like? I got a list for Mr. Hamilton. Now, knowing that, and I have a massive chill right now. So I'm all messed up, bankruptcy imminent, things aren't going well. I go to Mr. Hamilton, I asked him for a list. He was very kind, said, come back tomorrow morning, James. I'll have a list for you. I go back the next day, I get the list. I very quickly surmised that I wasn't doing anything on this list. Nothing, not one thing. And by the way, the list was, what do I need to do to become a successful automobile dealer? That was what I got from Mr. Hamilton. So I get the list, I start working on the list. And I know the question you asked me, and I'm very clear on it. Once I have the list and I start to do the list, now the list works. So the list has to work.
So you got a list and it works. Okay.
Now I train on the list. Gotcha.
So if you don't have your reason why.
Don't get it. I have the list. Now, if the list work for me, would it work for Marshall?
I think so.
So now I'm going to teach Marshall the list.
Mm-hmm.
That's the training format. Okay. So that said, when it comes to selling cars, I developed my list for how to sell cars in the most effective manner possible. I'm going to talk to 100 clients. And if I can get my list done every single time, I'm going to sell a certain percentage of those people a car. Mm-hmm. Once I prove that works, it's called scale. Now I teach it to somebody else.
Yep.
That's the training.
Yep.
They listen to me, they do what I tell them to do, and guess what? It works. Mm-hmm. Kevin Price comes to mind. What am I doing?
You're going through the same process that you used to build the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. Exactly. Steps are different, as you did to heal the Jim Shorkey body.
Exactly.
As you do to train Kevin Price.
What's happening to Kevin Price?
Kevin Price sales are going through the roof.
Hitting it out of the park.
There's something else you recently told me.
He actually has been offered an office.
Wow.
He can't believe it. I said, Kevin, I knew this was going to happen. Mm-hmm. I knew it. In order to train, number one, you have to have a goal, a reason why to make you cry, and a defined process that you're going to get from expert counsel. If you don't have a defined process, you got to stop right there and get that defined process. Then you got to put it to work yourself or with a group of people, however you do that. Hey guys, hey girls, we got this new process. Let's work on it. So we train that group. It's a small group on that process. Turns out, holy crap, this works. Or might be that it's not working as well as we want. We have to make some modifications. Once we get that process modified to the point where we know we're going to talk to 100 people, we're going to close whatever our expectations are, that it's working. Now we have an idea that we can share with the entire organization. Okay.
Yeah,
so we
'cause
train on
You've tested
the
it on a
process.
few people.
Yeah.
You've proven it.
If it works for one, it should work for two. Turns out it does. Turns out it doesn't. So we have to keep refining. Once we get it to where we know now, so when you're talking to Jim Shorkey, this guy, do I have a sales process? How do I know it works?
You've seen it work with hundreds of people that you've trained.
Years of doing this.
Yeah.
30 years. You Google it. Look up the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. I was just at the Christmas party for the Pennsylvania, Ohio part of the group. 700 people were at this party. Do you think it's working?
Yeah.
Do you think it's working?
100%.
Okay. So your question was, who needs training? How do you train with it? Did I answer your question?
How do you know when your training process is not good?
Well, that's the outcome. That's results.
Right.
We're not going to focus on the outcome. But should I weigh myself every day?
Yes.
I think so. That's an outcome. And I said earlier in another conversation, don't focus on the outcome. I look at the outcome, there it is. Then I focus on the process. So when I look at my outcome at the dealership, we didn't sell enough cars. Why? Well, it turns out they're really not doing the process. Let's get back to doing the process. We train on the process. But at some point, it's going to become very evident that the process is not sound. But I got this process from expert counsel. Don't take advice from people that aren't experts. He had another thing, and I don't want to say it. But I had a guy one time giving me advice on how to run my business. And I said to him, how many businesses have you run? Send me your financial statements. Let me look at them. I'm not interested in your advice until you do that. Crickets. Never heard from him again. You're going to give me advice on how to run a business?
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's so much unsolicited business advice.
Oh.
It's like, I didn't ask for your advice. Now there's a small group of people I do want their advice. It's called a think tank.
But somebody does want to give me advice. Be careful with what you just said. Somebody wants to give me advice. This is the universe speaking to you right now. So this person wants to give you advice. Just do some research. It's so easy. Google. And okay, let's look and see. Nothing comes up. Nothing.
Right.
Hey, Derek, I'd like to sit down and talk to you, but before I do that, could you tell me what your credentials are?
Sure.
Crickets. No, I'm not going to meet with you. You want to meet and have a cup of coffee and be buddies? Yeah, okay, I'll do that. But I want credentials. You have to prove to me via some mechanism. Could be a balance sheet, could be an income statement, could be a W-2, whatever it is. You have to prove to me that your information is going to be valid. You made how much last year? Yeah, I'd like to sit down and talk to you. Jim Rhodes said something years ago. What's the first thing you should do if you hit the $1 million lottery? Remember this?
I think it's actually become a millionaire.
Exactly. And I remember hearing that thinking, wait a second, I already am a millionaire. But he said, become a millionaire lest you lose it all. What happens when people hit the lottery?
They think, oh my gosh, I've never had this amount of wealth in my life.
What's the end result?
Tragedy often.
They go bankrupt.
Yep.
I think 70% of the time they're broke. In a very quick order. They just don't understand.
Don't quote me on this, but it's within 2 or 3 years.
It's quicker than that. But I'll go with 2 or 3 years. They were handed $1 million.
Yeah.
And they just don't understand money. So what Jim Rhodes said, if somebody's going to give you $1 million, you better become a millionaire mentally or you're going to lose it all. Do millionaires play the lottery?
No.
They don't.
You look at the studies,
They don't play. So the fact that you're playing and you got no money, bad idea. But the fact is, that's not a millionaire mentality. The fact that you even played, okay? The bottom line is, if you're going to give me advice on anything, health, I want to see your numbers. Show me your numbers. You want to give me advice, on HbA1c? Well, what's your HbA1c? Tell me what it is.
Makes sense.
I want to know. Then why would I take advice from you on HbA1c? Not only do you not know what your number is, you probably don't even know what it is. I do. Oh, wow, you lowered it by that much. No, I'm interested. Tell me how you did that. And I'm going to copy. But you got to have credentials.
Yeah.
That's a long answer.
No, but it makes sense because you're even talking about in the training process, hey, we've proven this training process over X amount of time. And if someone's thinking, well, how much of a training process, it's okay, seek expert counsel, get the steps you should take and start in, okay, here's the 4 steps right now. We're learning, we're improving, we're refining. Here's the process now. I'm sure that process changed over the years.
Absolutely. Sure. Still changing.
Yep.
It's malleable. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, if you are a person who runs a business and you have zero focus on training, you're absolutely an outlier. The good companies train. That's what they do. They train all the time, and they have symposiums where they'll have a speaker or books that they recommend or book clubs. I can't imagine running my business without this sense of training. And I told you about the phone call I had with my good friend, and he's trying to find the salesperson that I wanted to speak to.
Yeah.
And he walks by one of the desks, and on the desk is a book sitting right on the desk. How to Get What You Want by Wallace Wattles. I wonder how that book got there. What do you think?
A recommendation from either yourself or
it's me.
somebody on your team.
It's me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's right there. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it because this fellow that is a client up there, he and I are working on that book right now.
Wow.
Part of my give back.
Yeah.
How to Get What You Want. I love the title. I want to get what I want. How about you?
Yeah.
Do you want to have a great marriage?
100%.
Okay. Maybe that book can give you some idea of how to get
do that.
better.
Yeah.
And it's not specifically about marriage. It's about
Right.
how to get from point A to point B or from point Y to point Z if that's what you desire to do. You want to get a little better.
Yep.
Back to my original thing I was talking about with that index card, things get better when I get better. What if that's true? A never-ending improvement.
So guys, if you came here to question, how do I get better in my process, right? Because even with my team, we've grown from a team of 7 people to a team of 15.
Wow.
So guess what had to happen? Our processes needed to get better. One of the growing pains we had is we need to get better processes. So we sought expert counsel. We're working on our processes because it matters as you grow and as you scale. If you're a salesperson thinking, how do I get better in my own process of selling cars or selling real estate or selling insurance? These conversations are really worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Because it starts to think about, oh, let me learn these best practices. I always tell our clients, best practices may not always fit your exact business. They're helpful to give you a guiding piece. Here's the steps you should take. And maybe this step doesn't fit what I'm doing specifically. Put this step in instead. And you'll start to develop that process. And then training that with your team. Maybe you're a team of 2 or 3 right now, and you want to grow. Okay, let's get these processes in place.
I'll throw a little caveat in there. The studying of expert counsel and the development of a process, the things that you're going to learn about how to run your sales process from somebody else will always work. They will always work. And when you say it may not fit your particular business, that's where the adaptation occurs. Maybe it doesn't work exactly the same way, but what can I do to emulate that idea? For example, in our business, one of the strategies we want to incorporate into our process is we want the customer to drive the car.
Yeah, sure.
I know exactly. Believe me, I can sell anything to anybody anytime because I would adapt my process to the particular product in mind. And I will say this, though. When I say I can sell any product, I got to believe in the product. So it's not totally true. One of our core fundamental ideas in Rethink You 2.0 is you got to want to, which I got, by the way, from Mr. Hamilton. You got to want to. And so if I don't want to sell A, then I'm not even going to try because I don't want to sell it. That's not my thing. But I want to sell C in replacement for F. So I would apply my same process to C and I would knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
My good friend Kevin Price, he's not selling cars.
Yep.
He's not. But I'm teaching him how to sell what he's selling. The bottom line is we have to train well versus training half, okay? We got to have a very good defined process. That basically is the strategic continuum. Execution. So we have a good plan. We're going to execute it at a high level. Training well will be a good plan, and then we're going to execute that training very well. To do it any other way would be, you're just not going to get the result you want. I forgot you did throw that in there about training.
Wow.
Yes. Like working out. If we're going to work out, let's work out the right way. I have a physical trainer come in 4 days a week to work with me on training the right way. And there's a right way to do the farmer's carry and the wrong way. If you do it the wrong way, you're going to get hurt. You're going to damage stuff. So he's on my back to do it the right way. Push-ups, plank, hanging, bar hang, all these different things. He's watching me to make sure I'm doing it the right way. Jim, your butt's sagging on the right side when I'm doing plank. He's looking at me constantly to make sure I'm doing it the right way. So I could be training by myself and doing it the wrong way. That's not good training.
Yeah.
It's okay. If we're going to do it anyways, why not do it the right way?
Yeah. And I think that's where those adaptations come in that you're talking about. We have a lot of people come to us, oh, should I be doing things on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn? And Sometimes the answer is we have a B2B client and they're all B2B. And so the answer is, oh, you should actually be spending more time on LinkedIn. Don't follow best practice
Thank
over
you.
here. Actually create content that's specific to your audience
There
because
you
you
go.
want to talk to our customer on LinkedIn. So that was the adaptations that I was talking about is sometimes you need to adapt. Oh, this works. Let's tweak it to the audience we're serving.
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes powerful.
But it's the same process. LinkedIn versus Facebook. It's the same process.
Yeah.
Granted, you're doing a blog, for example. Maybe that's better for that clientele versus what we're doing here. Okay, but we could be doing a blog right now. You and I could be writing a blog right now, could we not? And then you go home and get it edited out and send it off.
Yep.
But we're doing a live video right now. We're sitting here having a conversation.
Yeah.
Isn't it the same thing?
It's just a different medium for the same thing.
What's the difference between this and pressing the flesh, as I call it? I talked to my good friend. I said, you owe me a meeting. Yeah, and I'm getting to it. We called it. Okay, let's make sure we do it. And we'll sit down. That is for eyeball to eyeball.
Yep.
Highly valuable.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make this less valuable.
Right.
And I guess what I would say is, can we press the flesh? Can we do video? Can we do recordings? Can we read books? And the answer is yes, but how about this? Can we do all four? And there's more, by the way. Can we join a mastermind group and still do something? We can do more. The more we do, the better. Napoleon Hill tells us in the great book, Think and Grow Rich, in the chapter on autosuggestion, which is the keystone to the arch of that philosophy called Think and Grow Rich. How's that sound to you? Think and grow rich. And you have to define rich. But he tells us in that book, there's a principle called autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is the shortest chapter in the book. It is the only chapter that he tells you to read repeatedly. Now, listen to what I'm saying. Repeatedly. And to underscore with a pencil every single word which has meaning to you. I should show you my chapter. It would knock your socks off. Anyways, so you read it repeatedly over and over again. So what is autosuggestion? Autosuggestion is a methodology by which you program your brain. And more than your brain, your subconscious. And so what are you reading? When you read something about your profession, that's autosuggestion.
Yep.
For what you're trying to accomplish with that client, there's probably a book that you would recommend. Say, get this book.
Yep.
Let's read it together. So what are you reading? What are you writing? Also very important. What are you saying to yourself? Self-talk. I'm a big believer in affirmations. Everybody that knows me knows that. What are you listening to? What are you viewing? Who are you hanging out with? That came out very strongly in the book I'm reading right now called Hustle. So it's a number of things: reading, writing, listening, viewing, saying, who you're hanging out with, on actions. Your actions have to be congruent with the principles that we're trying to indoctrinate into our. I think the essence of success, if I were to boil it down to one sentence, it's me convincing me that I can. How do I do that? Autosuggestion. I just gave you the formula.
Yeah.
Autosuggestion. Me convincing me that if I want to get stronger, I need to read books about working out.
Yeah, and I think that comes back to some of the conversations we were having of you can listen to this as a podcast. You can watch us so that we can be in your view.
Too.
And then we take a description of the podcast and put it before the video. So if you see it on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, you can read about what we're going to discuss before you actually watch the content.
Powerful
and then we
stuff.
send emails saying, hey, we just had a conversation about this. Do you want to check it out? At some point, we could turn this whole conversation into a blog if we wanted to and have that. That gives you multiple ways to engage in what we're doing. And that just helps you. If you're like, I have a lot of people listen to our podcast and say, oh, I listen to you guys in the car on the drive to work. Other people will sit down in the morning and turn on their computer and watch us have a conversation.
Thank you for that.
That's the power of these mediums, is we get to interact with you the way that's most helpful for you and what you're doing. Hear it in Jim's conversations. You can hear him talk about training, right? And why we're talking about auto-suggestion is you can start to do these steps and say, okay, but can you live them? Can they be a part of who you are? Right? It's like Jim and I can role play and have a conversation about sales, but he's done it so many times that it's instinctive, right? Can you get a good process that becomes instinctive to what you do and then teach other people? Guys, you can see how that way of thinking at a cellular level and that way of teaching and training yourself is actually a part of what you do in your external training. How do I sell better? How do I connect with people better? How do I lead better? Insert what you're doing, but you can see that way of thinking throughout what we're talking about. So
Yes.
Jim, thank you. Guys, thank you. Let us know in the comments below what is the next step you want to take. We're always about doing the next step. Do simple first. What is that next simple step that you're going to take today, tomorrow morning when you wake up, to move forward? Jim, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And we'll see you